Bonjour, comment allez-vous? This is the Crypto Kid podcast, and today we are discussing Bitcoin, the gift that keeps on giving $100,000. So, if you've been following Bitcoin this past week, Bitcoin has just been hitting daily all time highs. Let's check the current price. It's inches away from 100 US dollars. And let me share my screen here. Actually, let me pull up the Bitcoin price first. Okay, it's actually down 1,398 US dollars to the price of 97,510 US dollars. Let me share my screen. So if we look here, let's bring up the tab here so I can show you. All right, let's scroll down. As you can see, Bitcoin is, let's look at it. This is just for the day, but let's look at it over the last 5 days. As you can see, this chart here, this is showing that on Monday, no, it's 5 days. So this is just from Tuesday, since today is Saturday. In the past 5 days, since Tuesday, Bitcoin has gone from a price a little above 90,000 US dollars. Then, if we trace this here, this is on Thursday, it hit the high of 97,420 US dollars. Um, so, if we go here, this is showing Tuesday, 1:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Bitcoin was trading at the price of 91,023 US dollars. Then on later on at 7 p.m., it hit the high of $93,713. Then on Wednesday, we're looking at 4 p.m., it hit a high of 94,797 US dollars. Then on Thursday, 5 a.m., it hit a high of $97,420. Let's keep tracing this. Then on Thursday by 11:30 a.m., it was trading at a high of 98,019 US dollars. Then it hit a high of 98,966 US dollars. Then it hit a high of 99,266 US dollars. And then let's go back to 1 day trading. Now it's currently trading at the price of 97,510 US dollars. We're going to stop sharing there. Let's also check out Ethereum. Ethereum is trading at the price of 3,393 US dollars. It's up $64, and that is very good. Let's share the screen here again. Okay, as you can see here, let's do the 5 day as well. Scroll down a little bit. So if we go here on Tuesday, it was trading at 3,206 US dollars. Then it takes a dip on Wednesday. Let's see, it drops to a low of 3,042 US dollars. Then on Thursday, it hits a local high of 3,354 US dollars. Now, then on Friday, it goes up to 3,416 US dollars. And now, then it Saturday, earlier today, it was at 3,467 US dollars. And now it's currently trading at 3,393 US dollars. Okay, so let's stop sharing there. Let's go back in again and let's look at Bitcoin news. Okay, Bitcoin wild odds see 85% chance of BTC price above $100,000 by New Year. It's going to hit that by this coming week. And that's the headline from Cointelegraph. Let's look at Yahoo Finance. They've been pretty accurate. Bitcoin treads water near 100,000 with next big target elusive. See if we see anything else, maybe something relating to. Oh, this was monumental here. This headline is coming from CoinDesk. Trump picks pro crypto hedge fund manager Scott Bessent for Treasury Secretary. That was a bold, major move that is going to drive, I believe, and let's open this article up because this is going to be responsible for Bitcoin going above 100,000 US dollars. If the Senate confirms Bessent, the next person whose signature is on the front of paper, U.S. currency will be a fan of digital assets created to replace the conventional financial system. Okay. Bessent, and I believe this to be a French name. That's why even though it ends with a T, I believe it to be Bessent, which is French. Bessent runs Key Square Group, a macro investing firm. He worked for prominent investor George Soros 3 decades ago and was, according to the Wall Street Journal, one of the driving forces behind Soros Fund Management's famous bet that netted a more than $1 billion profit that the British pound would collapse. So that was his bet. And so it paid off. Let's stop sharing there. Okay. So the market is in great sentiments right now. Donald Trump is he's taking care of all of his key cabinet picks. And even though Mitch McConnell has stood fast by, saying that he was going to be responsible for blocking Matt Gaetz, I think it was a good move by Donald Trump because he needed to flush out who are the remaining Republican hagglers. And by suggesting Matt Gaetz, he could find out who was going to turn against him. And the ringleader, of course, is not surprisingly Mitch McConnell. So Donald Trump had to flush out Mitch McConnell and other rhinos who were going to thwart him. And I believe, if I was watching Stephen Gardner podcast yesterday, and some people suggested to him that Donald Trump was playing 5D chess and that the person he always wanted for attorney general was the federal judge that is in Florida that he is very familiar with and that has um, made judgments on his cases in Florida. That was always his first pick for attorney general. And so he presented Matt Gaetz to find out who would potentially thwart Matt Gaetz and thereby stand up and thwart the Trump administration. And immediately, as soon as he nominated Matt Gaetz for attorney general, Mitch McConnell wasted no time in making a bold statement that said there's no way that Matt Gaetz will be confirmed. And then 4 other Republicans joined in, and currently the Republicans have the majority now for the incoming Congress. And Donald Trump needed to understand going into his second administration, who are the rhinos, who are the fake, phony Republicans that are going to thwart me in all of my cabinet picks. So he put out Matt Gaetz. I think that was a great move because now it helps him understand that by suggesting, I believe it's Scott Bessent as the Scott Bessent of Key Square Group, by nominating him as his Treasury Secretary, he has a better understanding of who's going to try to block up and hold up those nominations and slow down his administration. So this is, I think this, I would have preferred to have Matt Gaetz as Attorney General. At the same time, Donald Trump has more experience now in his cabinet picks. He's not waiting until he gets into office. We're in the month of November, and we're just 2 weeks past the election. And since he's already done it before, he's already naming out his key cabinet picks. And Scott Bessent is going to be great for crypto, and Donald Trump is pro-crypto. JD Vance is pro-crypto, RFK is pro-crypto, and Elon Musk. So this is a great move for the U.S. Treasury. It'll allow Donald Trump to have more control and move forward his suggestion that he would like to pay off the $35 trillion deficit that the U.S. currently has, and he wants to pay it off through Bitcoin. I think that'll be great for his legacy, but it'll be short-lived because if JD Vance, who would naturally as vice president would run for the next election and then possibly be, have an 8-year term, then everything will be smooth. But because one of the things that's going to happen during the Donald Trump administration is if he wants to pay off the deficit, here's the thing, it makes no sense to pay off the deficit if we go back to 2000 and Bill Clinton had built up a surplus of cash, okay? And George W. Bush inherited that. And what did George W. Bush do? People want to say Dick Cheney misled him. No, he wanted to go in that direction, and he went immediately into a war with Afghanistan and Iraq and quickly spent all of that surplus cash. And for the last more than 20 years, has run the U.S. deficit up by being in those wars. The war ended up lasting 20 years. So this is how we get into these endless wars, which is so disgusting as America, because Barack Obama didn't pull the troops out during his 8-year term. Okay, he made no attempt to pull the troops out. So, and then what did Biden do? Biden pulled out of Afghanistan in just such a weak fashion, and then he's deploying troops to the Ukraine, to Israel, to Lebanon, Syria, and Iran. And he's intentionally trying to beef up this posture of war in Russia by authorizing the Ukrainians to use long-range missiles into Russia that could possibly reach St. Petersburg and other places. And just the statement that the Biden administration, the Biden here, and you notice Kamala Harris is totally quiet now, but you notice how the Biden administration, he's been brain dead. He has 2 months left, but all of a sudden he's back in the White House making decisions, and it's to go into a war, because these are direct declarations of war by Joe Biden. And then, but a judge is going to say, well, so he is intelligent enough to authorize the Ukrainians to use long-range missiles into Russia, but he's not intelligent enough to stand trial for the misappropriated documents that he, as a senator and as a vice president, had classified documents. So the judges need to get this straight, because if this man is sane enough to authorize the Ukrainians to use long-range missiles to hit into Russia, the man is sane enough to face criminal prosecution for having classified documents in his personal possession at his house next to his nice Corvette when he was a senator and vice president. So the Democratic judges better clean this up real quick on whether the man is sane or not, as he's continuing to beef up troops and these statements of war with Russia, because Vladimir Putin is not playing at this point. And they just, let's get that article, because the Russians have struck into Ukraine, and there's more than 1 million people dead because of this war. And it's mainly Ukrainian citizens, and then their army is being decimated, and the Russians have paid a price. And this is because of the Biden-Harris administration and the Democrats. So let's see. Okay. So Vladimir Putin is not playing games. Okay. I'm going to read this article, and this is coming from PBS and NBC News. But if we look at Reuters, Russia fired new ballistic missile at Ukraine, Putin says. And that's from Reuters. Then we go to NBC News. Putin says Russia attacked Ukraine with a new missile and threatens Western civilizations. Let's look at PBS, their headline. NATO and Ukraine to hold emergency talks after Russia's attack with new hypersonic missile. So this is the crap that 2 NATO countries have been talking about striking Russia. And Vladimir Putin made a bold statement by launching a hypersonic missile. So NATO and Ukraine will hold emergency talks Tuesday after Russia attacked a central city with an experimental hypersonic ballistic missile that escalated the nearly 33-month-old war. And this is serious. And Vladimir Putin is going to strike with nuclear weapons. And this is something that the senile Joe Biden is pushing. Okay? In a stark warning to the West, President Vladimir Putin said in a nationally televised speech to his nation that the attack with the intermediate range Orishnik missile was retaliation for Kiev's use of U.S. and British longer range missiles capable of striking deeper into Russian territory. So this is the British, and Vladimir Putin might launch something into Great Britain just to teach them a lesson and let them know how close that they can be reached. And, somewhere on the outskirts of one of the water towns that faces France. So, the British should expect something to land on one of their islands, soon, because this, like for the U.S. and the British to supply the Ukrainian, is an all-out declaration of war. And this is what the British and the Biden-Harris administration are the mess that they're going to leave Donald Trump. So Donald Trump has Vladimir Putin and the Ukrainian president on speed dial, and he's already probably let that Vladimir Putin know you can do whatever you want to do, okay, in the Ukraine, okay. And then he called the Ukrainian president this is the lowest level guy. The president of the Ukraine is, the most unintelligent person to be leading a nation, and you would think that his brain is more warped. But if you step back for a moment, and I know I've gotten into politics, but we're looking at how the country, the United States, we're excited about Donald Trump being nominated and elected as president. And now the markets are responding. Now global markets are responding, and everybody is happy. But now on the way out, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are starting or escalating the Ukrainian war to the nuclear level on the way out. So if that is the case, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris should be prosecuted soon as Donald Trump takes office. Okay, because this to escalate and drag us into another war is ridiculous. Because the United States, we don't want a war. We don't want a war with Russia. We don't want a war with North Korea or China. We don't want a war with Iran. So for the Biden-Harris administration to put boots on the ground in the Ukraine, because U.S. troops are in the Ukraine fighting, and now to deploy troops to invade Iran, to invade Syria and Lebanon, like these are all the things that the American people just voted against. That we don't. That's why we voted uh, Kamala Harris down and get her out of office. We don't want to be in another war. Like the inflation, the inflation, and then think about it. We're supposed to be the most advanced country in the world. No one is going to respect us because for the last 20 years, we've been causing wars all around the world. So we should not, like, no one's going to respect us. And we don't want to be in these wars, American citizens. And then let's think about the millions of people in Afghanistan, in Iraq, on the borders of Israel and in the Ukraine that are dying. You know, we got like over 2-3 million people. If you take the loss of lives in the Ukraine, in Afghanistan over 20 years, in Iraq over 20 years, and then now on the border of Israel, it's between 2 to 3 million people that have possibly lost their lives due to the U.S. involvement in these wars. And this is what the American citizens, we do not want this. We want all these wars to stop. We want the U.S. to stop involving itself in perpetuating these wars. And I'm disappointed, but to be expected from the Biden-Harris administration on the way going out is to cause a war. And this ballistic missile from Russia that just struck into the Ukraine, because the Ukrainian army did use these intermediate range missiles to strike into Russia, and Russia quickly retaliated, and possibly is going to retaliate against Germany and any other NATO countries that are supplying the Ukraine with these weapons. And these are things that we don't want, but we see that our leaders do not care about us. So this means that Biden-Harris administration, the House is not going to, dominated by the Republicans, is not going to approve anything. But we see now that Chuck Schumer is most likely behind this, since the Democrats have the power, and he probably has encouraged this escalation of war. What I'm saying to the Biden-Harris administration, what I'm saying to Chuck Schumer and the Democrats in Congress, you guys all need to chill. Okay, you work for me. Okay, I'm an American citizen. You work for me. We don't want to be in these wars. We're tired of you killing people. We're tired of the hyperinflation and all the money you're spending to be in these wars. You need to pull us out, withdraw all troops, stop having these American young people die, and also going to these foreign countries and killing people, and then escalating our debt here to where our economy can't even function, because we're all happy about Christmas coming up. Thanksgiving here in the United States is next week. And I have followers for Crypto Kid TV all around the world, in Turkey, and I have a growing presence in Iran. I have followers in Vietnam. I think I might have some followers in South Africa, and my footprint in the UK is beginning to grow as well. I'm not sure if this podcast can be reached in Russia or the Ukraine, but I hope to gain followers there as well, to keep you guys globally informed. And that is one of the benefits of the internet, is that we humans can stay globally connected, despite the fact that our governments in our respective countries are dragging us into war against one another. And we as citizens can plead to one another and negotiate one another via the internet. And this is one of the incredible mechanisms. But I assure you, on behalf of all Americans that going into Thanksgiving next week and going into the upcoming Christmas holiday season, we want this war between the Ukraine and Russia to completely stop. We know that Vladimir Putin um, uh, is in conversation with Donald Trump, but he needs to do what he needs to do because currently Donald Trump is not the sitting president. So he needs to do what he needs to do to defend his people. And just the threat and the escalation and the talk is appalling. And we don't want any more of it. So with that, this is the Crypto Kid signing out. We're going to keep it on a positive note. This is Saturday, November 23rd, 2024. We are going into the Thanksgiving season. God bless you all. Peace to the world. And you take care.